So this is a first. The tube was loose, and we just found out somebody is took the filter. Is that the actual filter base?
Yeah, like it's a Purelator filter.
Wow.
Well, it was a Purelator filter until someone took all the
So now it's just a disc. So that was actually interesting. No filter in the airbox. All right. So taking this apart, somebody's taken it apart and put it back together wrongly. You've seen me do these in the videos in the past. That plastic ring goes around this shift boot. Well, this ring is broken first off, and it is just there's one clip holding it in. So it's got 4 tabs in here. One of them is the only one left. If I can get it out without breaking it, which it doesn't really matter, it needs to be replaced anyway. But that is supposed to go around this rubber and snap that in. This rubber is deformed. It might be able to be reused, but that ring's definitely toast. 3 of the tabs are there, one's completely gone. The ring is broken right here. But that is supposed to, let me show you right here, I got the console out. That is supposed to go around here and fit. There is cuts in here that are slotted right here for that to go through. And then those tabs in here go in those 4 slots right here. You see there's 4 evenly placed. And it's one of those things that if you've never done one before, so many people break these taking them apart. They don't take the time to release the clip and remove that properly. So I just wanted to show you this, the slight, you can't see it from up top, but slight indentation here. This is often from people jacking it here. This is thin body, you can't jack it on here. You see this double pad right here. You see it's got some reinforcement. That's the only place that you want to jack it from on an S2000. Preferably use it obviously one of 4 post lifts so you can pick up all 4 corners at the same time evenly. But
this goes for just about any car though. If you see that on your rail, that means you can jack there.
Usually
it's
a
nice
thicker
big double area.
Yeah, you can see it. It's got that extra tab right here. I wouldn't jack it on here. Some cars you can jack it on this pinch, but I would only use the double reinforcement. We've seen worse than that. Like I say, you can't see it from up top, but you can see where it's been jacked on there. So the clutch didn't feel good at all. It had a really bad chatter. We know the Master Cylinder is bad, but as you see in here, it's an aftermarket clutch. And if you get the angle right, you can see that the fingers are all in, which means it's wore out. And we have a little bit of a coolant lead that has dripped along the transmission. We're gonna try and chase when we're up there.
Yeah, it's definitely fried.
It's wet there. It's not pouring out, but it's something up there wet. We're gonna try and see if we can find that, hopefully, while we're in there. Boot is missing here, which that's kind of included in our kit, so that's kind of nice. We do include a nice new boot there, so hopefully we don't really see anything else.
It didn't come out either. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that might be that Master Cylinder.
Well, it's either that or this. One of the two. One of the two is no good.
Yeah, it's aftermarket Master Cylinder, so I usually point my finger at that first. Mounts are okay.
Mounts would be alright.
All those bolts are all beat up, which is just, we've talked about that. You can't reuse them. Once you take those out, they don't go back in. We include a new set of those when we put it back together. See any telltale signs of cooling yet?
No.
You can kind of see it's wetter on that bill housing.
Yeah, there, it's wet on that line, so it's dripping down here somewhere. It could be up on the back of the head somewhere. I think I see some more up there. Hopefully it's not the intake manifold gasket or something like that, but it's, I don't know if you'd be able to see it with the camera. There's like a boss way up there next to an intake manifold bolt.
No.
And there's some green on that too.
Take a look at it from the top side. So we're putting in the AP2 trans. One thing we noticed is it's leaking from the tail shaft right here, and there is a seal directly behind it, and then around the other side of this there is an O-ring, and I have the 2 pieces right here. Just wanted to show you them, give you the part number in case you run into this. This is the seal, this is the O-ring. When we take this off, if I remember, I'll show you how it goes, but it's just, like I said, the seal sits right behind here. It's pretty easy to get to. Once you take this flange off, it's all pretty much accessible. Alright, so transmission's off. We're going to be replacing the main seal anyway. As you see, the coolant was talking about, we think it's coming from that switch. So we'll try and address that while we have all kinds of room and access for it. part of our clutch kit. We are going to replace the main seal. It does have another transmission, which we're going to replace the front seal in the transmission, which we also call the transmission main seal. I'll show you that here in a second. This is the transmission that came out of the car. It was leaking on this backside, so this was actually full of oil when we took the drive shaft out, and you can see it's kind of got a whole bunch of RTV around there. So that's obviously been a problem and nobody's fixed it, so it just kind of filled up that little pocket with oil. So this is the clutch that came out of it, and it was wore out, but it felt awful. It had no pedal feel, it chattered really bad. These 6-puck discs, I mean, they hold power, but they're not really the best for street ability. And this is, let's see, it's a no-name bearing. Luckily it didn't fall apart. Usually that piece that you see in there is kind of like a spring, that spacer, that usually falls out of them and destroys the clutch. But this one didn't, but it doesn't feel good. It's loose. We'll be putting an Ichi in there. This is the flywheel. The flywheel's in decent shape. It doesn't have any real damage to it. We'll get that surfaced, cleaned up, and we can put that back in. We're putting an FX 300 clutch masters in there, which will feel just like a normal OEM clutch. Alright, so you can see here, this is the seal that we just removed. This is the new one that's going in. I showed you the part number earlier. So clean this, obviously remove the old one, make sure there's no damage to this housing. This one's going to press in there and seat. This is the other one, but it's already, this one had a leak as well. And then the O-ring, we'll show you this in a minute, but that gets put in, and the O-ring was bad.
Well, I think this one was coming through the threads because it was only in the drive shaft housing.
Yeah.
Because that's the seal out of where the threads are.
That was completely gone. Turn on its side. Yeah, big chunk of seal not there. So we'll show you this in a minute once that gets pushed in. Show the O-ring in its position. So this is the flange that is going into the seal. You see this area right here. This one is pretty rough. So rather than using that, I just say it's kind of got some damage here. It could wear that seal out or even damage that seal.
This could have been the reason why it was leaking. It seems to be nice enough, but there is some weird spots on it for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely got that marking around it.
Yeah, it's been in use for a while. We
have another one here. This we're just using the best of all the parts. This one, see how much difference it looks? Just to give you kind of a side by side. This one is mint, so we're gonna reuse that one as my reminder and put it back together because we don't want to damage that seal. The seal is in there, as you see where it goes in. You should clean and grease that so it slides in. You don't want to damage that seal. Insert it back onto that spline. Alright, so looking in the official Honda book here, showing you the flange end right here. We have the O-ring, and then this part here we are missing on his. Is that the part we're missing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the nylon piece. We have the washer and the nut.
Yeah, both of his transmissions were missing that, which is the backup ring. And its job is just so that O-ring stays in place.
Okay.
Because there's a bit of a gap.
Yeah, if this tightens down to the bottom of the thread, it's not going to put enough pressure on that seal. So we are missing that piece. So we're going to go through our stock and see if we can find one here. But again, nice thing about having the official Honda book is all this information is in there. So these are the parts we're just talking about. This is that plastic ring, and obviously it's a pretty important part, but how the book shows you is you put the O-ring in, then the plastic, and then the washer, and then of course the nut you peen the end over. But very, very important piece missing on the transmission he supplied us and the transmission that was in the car. So again, it's one of those things that just happened, but luckily we're prepared for it. So one of the things that's available through Clutchmasters is their billet alignment tool, which is really nice. It helps get that thing lined up perfectly. Like we always say, use the Nichi bearing on any clutch, whatever clutch brand you like. Use the Nichi bearing, don't go with the aftermarket one. We see so many of those things fail. Transmission is back in with all the little extra little things we did. There's a lot of cleaning and manipulating to make everything right, but now it's got all new seals in, new bolts. As you see, the new rubber piece that comes with our kits anyway, but it was missing on this car. So we're gonna put it down, finish it off, and I think we should replace the master and bleed it. Just make sure everything is good, make sure that this doesn't have a problem too, and of course fresh fluid.
Alright, the shifter is back in with the new ring. I believe John did show you the old ring was broken there, wasn't holding the shifter down right, or not the shifter, but just the rubber boot. So that helps seal the outside from the inside. Brand new ring, clipped down nice.
So one of the things he opted for the wrinkle black valve cover, which I said so many times, so I won't say it again. Actually, I will. I really like the wrinkle black valve cover. The red obviously came on all the cars, but unless it's absolutely pristine factory red, they never look right. So the black one just looks clean, and obviously it's easier to deal with. You can just wipe it off with soap and water. Whereas this one, it kind of absorbs any dirt you get on it. You can't get it off. Even with cleaners, it always seems to stain them. The black one, soap and water, comes clean every time. All right, valve cover is on. So we are doing a breather count on this. So I'm not going to hook up this right here. Someone's going to point out that that is loose. We know that it's coming off, but looks much cleaner. It's got new plugs in it. They're already gapped. Everything is put back together. Alright, so these guys here, not only do they offer fantastic injectors, they have the plug and play harness that we've just been playing with and kind of learning a little bit about. We did talk to you before about some of the plug and plays that had the bad pins and the wire was really thin. But the biggest issue was these pins here didn't fit the factory harness properly. They were too thin. Let me get this in a little bit better light. Alright, so you can see here the injector on the right, you can see the thickness of the pins. The pins on the left are the same thickness, whereas the other ones we showed you before were much thinner and didn't have a really good connection in the harness. These, we can tell you, are good. We put them together and wobbled them around and checked them. They're staying nice and tight. It has a good connection, and it's a short piece too, so it's very easy to install and put under the cover. But we can tell you this is one that we like. Alright, so this one is done. 3 different boost settings. So we have 3 different power levels. This is the AP1, which is the 2-liter. Still has a factory catalytic converter, so it's running really nice and clean. Makes 390 wheel on high boost. So this is going to be a blast to drive. It looks so much better. Looks cleaner. Look at that. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and we'll see you on the next video.